Nestled in the cold embrace of the Southern Ocean lies South Georgia Island, a remote haven for some of the world's most resilient wildlife. But today, this sanctuary faces a new and growing threat, one that comes from the heart of the frozen continent, drifting ever closer to its shores. Megalithic icebergs, colossal, ancient masses of ice, are on a collision course with South Georgia. These giant icebergs, some larger than entire cities, pose a serious and growing risk to the island's fragile ecosystem. South Georgia is a rare gem, a place where life thrives in the most extreme conditions. Its beaches are home to vast colonies of king penguins, elephant seals, and seabirds. Here, the balance of nature is delicate, where every species plays a role in maintaining the island's fragile ecological harmony. King penguins, the island's most iconic residents, rely on a precise cycle of seasons and ocean currents for survival. But now, that balance is being threatened by a force as ancient as the ice itself. These megalithic icebergs originate from the Antarctic ice shelves, where massive glaciers break off and travel northward. Driven by ocean currents, they slowly make their way towards South Georgia, where their potential to disrupt the delicate ecosystem is becoming increasingly evident. The journey of these icebergs can take years, but as they approach the island, they bring with them a dangerous environmental change: the introduction of enormous quantities of fresh water into the surrounding ocean. The ocean around South Georgia is teeming with life, but these icebergs are changing the waters in ways that threaten to unravel the entire food web. As they melt, they release vast amounts of fresh water into the sea, altering salinity levels and disrupting marine ecosystems. Krill, the primary food source for penguins, seals, and other species, are particularly vulnerable to these shifts. Their survival is intricately tied to the temperature and salinity of the water. If the balance is upset, the consequences for the wildlife dependent on them could be devastating. With their primary food sources at risk, the king penguins and elephant seals face a future where finding enough food could become increasingly difficult. Their survival depends on a fragile link in the chain of life, one that the arrival of these icebergs threatens to break. For the penguins of South Georgia, the threat is particularly dire. These resilient birds rely on a steady supply of krill, which they dive deep into the frigid waters to catch. But with the melting icebergs changing the salinity of the ocean, the very krill they depend on could be pushed farther away or disappear entirely. The penguins' breeding success is tied directly to the abundance of krill. If the food supply weakens, so does their ability to raise their young. Without sufficient food, chicks are left hungry, and the survival rate plummets. The once thriving colonies could face a rapid decline. The island's elephant seals also face the repercussions of the iceberg threat. These seals rely on healthy fish populations, but if the balance of the marine ecosystem shifts, they, too, will find it harder to hunt for food. For the seals, the challenge is not only finding food, but also ensuring their pups receive enough nourishment. With a fluctuating food supply, mothers may struggle to find enough food to sustain themselves and their young. The consequences of this are far-reaching, as fewer pups will survive to adulthood, leading to a decline in the seal population. Scientists are racing against time to understand how the arrival of these icebergs will affect South Georgia's ecosystem. They study water samples, measure changes in temperature and salinity, and track the movements of the icebergs to predict their impact. The stakes couldn't be higher. If the icebergs continue to melt and disrupt the delicate balance of the marine environment, the repercussions for the wildlife of South Georgia could be irreversible. Scientists warn that urgent action is needed to mitigate the damage before it's too late. The race against time is on. The icebergs are moving closer, and South Georgia's wildlife is facing its biggest challenge yet. The future of penguins, seals, and countless other species hangs in the balance. But the battle isn't lost yet. We must act now. The clock is ticking, and the time to protect South Georgia's wildlife is running out.